After breaking with the system, I stayed in this world for good, but my once loving boyfriend had changed completely. In front of everyone, he humiliated me. He called me a disgusting simp and a stupid lovestruck fool. He laughed and asked, "You gave up everything for me. Did you really think I loved you?" I smiled. It took me a lot to stay here. Did he really think it was all for a man? Chapter 1. The moment the system was pulling out of my body, it was still angrily scolding me. I wiped away my tears apologetically. "I'm sorry, but I truly can't live without Justin. Think this through. Once you give up, there's no way for you to die and be reborn in the original world." I kept nodding while crying. "I'm willing to do it. For him." The next second, a wave of unbearable pain swept through my body. When all the pain finally subsided, I knew for sure the system had abandoned me completely. My tears stopped instantly, and my lips curled up into a smile. Right at that moment, the door suddenly opened, and Justin came in holding a glass of water, smiling as he said, "Sister, have some honey water." I smiled and reached out to him. Almost instantly, Justin's gentle expression disappeared, and he splashed the entire glass of water onto my face. He laughed wildly. "Ha ha ha, Miriam, you're done for." I stayed silent, calmly wiping the drops of water off my forehead. Justin seemed stunned by my lack of reaction, but soon enough, he regained his smug demeanor. "Now that the system has discarded you, you're nothing but a useless piece, aren't you?" Chapter 2. Justin almost couldn't wait to show off to me that he had always been able to hear my conversations with the system. He knew I came to this world to redeem him and then destroy him. So, he played along with me all the time, trying to make me fall in love with him, making me unwilling to hurt him, even going against the system just to protect him. The more he talked, the prouder he became, finally slapping my face in excitement, calling me a fool. "Are you women all single-celled organisms? You didn't really think I loved you, did you? Ha ha ha." I lowered my eyelashes, concealing my expression of ridicule. Both the system and Justin thought that I loved him to the point of no return, that I would rather give up the chance to be reborn in my original world than hurt him. But they would never know that I never intended to be reborn. In my original world, I was just a miserable corporate slave, with a family that only knew how to leech off me. But in this world, I have everything I want. Why would I want to go back? Of course, I had no intention of telling Justin the truth right now. Otherwise, it would be way too boring. I just nodded lightly, responding to him. "You win." Chapter 3. The next day, at the 15th anniversary celebration of Justin's family company, Justin called in many reporters. Under everyone's gaze, he raised his glass and said, "Today is a wonderful day. To make it even better, I have decided to propose to the woman I love the most." For a moment, cheers and whistles almost lifted the roof off. Everyone knew that I had been by Justin's side through his hardest 3 years. Without me, he would never have been able to go from being the neglected illegitimate child to becoming the true head of the company. So, everyone believed this grand event must have been prepared for me. But just as the atmosphere reached its peak, Justin suddenly followed everyone's gaze and looked at me, sneering. "Everyone, how could the woman I love the most be a simp who lowered herself and has no dignity? My taste isn't that disgusting, okay?" The hall fell silent instantly. Amidst the dead silence, Justin walked through the crowd, step by step, towards a girl in the back row. He knelt on one knee, holding up a ring. "Lily, you said my relationship with Miriam made you feel insecure. So I am proving to you in front of everyone. I swear I will only love you in this life. Will you marry me?" Lily's face turned bright red from shyness, and she let Justin put the ring on her, then led her back to the center of the hall. All around were whispers. No one understood how a newly arrived intern could possibly defeat me and become the lady of the Justin family. Only I knew Lily was the true heroine of this world. Two protagonists being drawn to each other, it's perfectly normal. Chapter 4. Almost as soon as the lights turned back on, the reporters surged forward. Lily, hiding behind Justin, timidly took the microphone when someone asked if they'd considered Miriam's feelings. "I know my sister loves Justin deeply, but this kind of self-sacrificing devotion only makes things difficult for others. So, I'd appreciate it if my sister stopped bothering Justin in the future. Her words were as harsh as they sounded. Everyone expected me to feel wronged, to cry, or even to rush at her in a fit of rage. But I simply smiled faintly. Sure, I can leave right now, as long as Justin gives me the projects I've been leading. All this time, in order to convince the system, I played the role of a hopeless romantic. My acting was so good that even Justin himself fully believed it. He sneered at me. Are you trying to get my attention this way? To show me that neither I nor the company can function without you? He waved dismissively, not caring at all, and said I was utterly ridiculous. The Justin family business is huge. Why would I care about your pathetic little projects? And those team members of yours? Don't think I don't know they've spoken ill of Lily. You'd better take them with you too. I calmly listened to everything he said. Then I waved my phone at a reporter in the front row. Hey there, pretty lady. How about we add each other as friends? When you have time, could you send me the video of his speech just now? The girl looked stunned, trembling as she scanned my screen. Chapter 5. That night, I received a new friend request. At first, I thought it was from the reporter and immediately accepted it. A voice message popped up almost instantly. I clicked on it, and to my surprise, I heard Lily's sickly sweet voice. Sister, Justin said he doesn't want to see you anymore. How about this? We'll throw away all your things here, and I'll transfer you $1 million as compensation? Before I could reply, she sent a 30-second video. I saw my belongings being thrown out one by one, from small items like jewelry and watches to larger ones like clothes and bags. To be honest, I didn't care about those things at all, but if I didn't take this chance to cash in, all those years of being a simp would be for nothing. So I replied with an exaggerated tone of surprise. 1 million? 1 million isn't nearly enough. I had custom-made dresses and coats designed for me, and luxury watches that I pulled strings to get. I understand it may be hard for you to grasp given your background, but even at half price, these items would be worth at least 5 million. I didn't know if this approach worked on others, but I knew it would work on Lily. Sure enough, 2 minutes later, I got a notification of a 5 million transfer. I immediately turned around and gave bonuses to every member of the project team. They'd all been furious about Justin's ridiculous actions, and now they were moved to tears, each of them swearing loyalty to me. That was exactly the effect I wanted. I knew all the storylines in this world, and I knew very well how lucrative these projects would become in the future. In the original plot, Justin's family became industry leaders because of these projects, and Justin became a celebrated young talent. But now, that position will be mine. Chapter 6. With nothing left to worry about, I slept well that night, a rare occurrence. The next day happened to be a day off, so I went to the mall next to the hotel, bought a bunch of gifts, and drove straight home. When my parents saw me getting out of the car with all the bags, their faces were full of caution. Oh no, here comes the weasel bringing gifts again. I don't blame them for being so sarcastic. Previously, in order to put on a good show, I often turned my back on my family, our own valuable clients. I willingly handed them over to Justin. My dad had nurtured a prized bonsai tree for over 10 years, and just because Justin said it was pretty, I had it delivered straight to his company's lobby. My dad was nearly smoking with rage. He could never understand why someone would choose to give up a comfortable life as a young lady of a well-off family just to serve as someone else's errand girl. And now, with history repeating itself, my dad had even prepared his quick relief heart pills. All right, tell me, what do you want this time? I broke up with Justin, and now I want to discuss something with you. I began cautiously. I want to take over the company. My dad's eyes almost popped out of his head. My mom kept asking me if this was another one of Justin's bad ideas. That jerk was after our clients before, and now he's after the entire company. Luckily, I had anticipated this reaction and quickly took out the video of Justin and Lily's engagement. I swore over and over again that I had truly woken up. I don't care about love or romance at all anymore. All I want now is to grow the company and make it strong. My dad stared at Justin's face on the screen, his furious gaze almost burning a hole through my phone. I had never heard so many curse words come out of his mouth before. After he was done cursing, he waved me over. Even if that bastard is shameless, You've lied to me so many times that I can't just trust you outright. He said he'd give me a chance. The company is about to start a new project. Our biggest competitor is Justin's family. If you can secure the deal, I'll believe that you've finally drained the nonsense out of your head. Then we can talk about you taking over. This was exactly what I wanted. Ever since my first month in this world, I had been planning to stay. So for the past few years, I had put on a show of being fully committed to working for Justin. But in reality, I had almost completely figured out all of Justin's family's major projects. Yet that idiot Justin never had a clue. The funniest part is that, just to make Lily happy, he let me leave with the entire team. This time, I want to see who he'll find to do this thankless job. Chapter 7. For the next few days, I was busy day and night. My dad, who always had a sharp tongue but a soft heart, grinned from ear to ear when he saw I was serious about it. He even took me to a dinner party hosted by our partners, cheerfully introducing me to everyone. Everything was going great if it weren't for running into that idiot Justin again. At that moment, I was holding my dad's arm, looking for a ring that had flown off, when I suddenly heard someone mention my name. I looked up, and there, in a pavilion not far away, were two figures leaning close together. Don't worry, Miriam's just a lovesick fool. As long as I ask, she'll be all too eager to hand me the completed project plan. Even in the dim light, I could feel my dad's face darken immediately. He got up and walked straight over to Justin. Come on, say that to me again. Justin looked startled at first, but when he saw me following behind, he started sneering again. Miriam, you heard that too? Good. Then I won't need to drill it into you again. My dad was practically fuming, giving me a glare that said it all. Why aren't you slapping him already? But I just smiled faintly. It wasn't the time to burn bridges with Justin yet. The less wary he was of me, the more advantageous it was for me. But, over the past few years, Justin had grown completely spoiled by my indulgence. Seeing that I neither argued nor got angry, he thought I was still the obedient little simp he could trample on, and even laughed while pulling Lily into his arms, pointing at me. Babe, look at her, just like a fool. On the way home, my dad kept pounding on the steering wheel. Why didn't you slap him just now? Or at least let me do it. Don't tell me you still like him. I shook my head. Dad, have you ever heard the saying, if you wish to destroy someone, let them first become arrogant? Chapter 8. As I expected, Justin couldn't find a competent team at all. For several days in a row, he kept messaging me. Project plan, done yet? Hurry. I ignored him, letting him stew in his frustration. As the deadline approached, Justin became more and more impatient. Miriam, are you playing hard to get with me? This will only make me hate you more. Only then did I reply with, hold on a bit, and then I let him wait for 2 more days. Justin finally couldn't take it anymore and sent me more than 10 voice messages in a row. It just so happened that I was in the middle of a meeting with the team members. The computer was connected to the projector, so I casually put Justin on speaker. His agitated voice echoed throughout the meeting room. Hurry up and send me the project proposal, or I'll make sure you never see me again. This arrogant tone made everyone on the team furious. They urged me to reply to Justin. Hey, tell him we'll definitely send him the project plan. So I did. And just before the deadline, the whole project team hit send and sent Justin a recipe for Krabby Patties. Naturally, I secured the project. On the day I signed the contract with the client, as soon as I stepped out, I received a call from Justin. His voice was practically sparking with anger. Miriam, are you insane? What did you send me? I held the phone a bit farther from my ear, quietly listening to him rant. Once his voice started sounding hoarse, I lazily replied, maybe one of my subordinates sent the wrong thing. Sent the wrong thing? Justin's tone was dripping with sarcasm. What kind of act are you putting on? Do you think I can't see through your little games? For a moment, I thought he'd realized something, but then I heard him say, you just want to prove how impressive you are, right? And then hope I'll change my mind and let you come back to me? Justin scoffed twice. Keep dreaming. Miriam, you know I'm the type who responds to kindness, not toughness. The more you act like this, the more I'll despise you. I really had overestimated Justin. I guess. The person is gone, but his brain is still soaked in water. Chapter 9. The person most thrilled about me securing this project was, of course, my dad. Every time I saw him from afar these days, the first thing I noticed was his wide grin. The old man was absolutely overjoyed. More than once, I caught him bowing wildly toward the office window, exclaiming, "Heaven is just. I might actually be able to retire one day." However, as soon as I pushed open the door and walked in, he would put on a serious face, assuming the demeanor of a boss. "This time, you did well. I'll give you a chance to take on more responsibilities, but you'd better not be tricking me again, or I'll never trust you again." I nodded, playing along with his theatrics. Then I told him I wanted to hire a spokesperson. My dad's brow instantly furrowed so tightly that it could have caught a fly. I knew what he was thinking. Hiring a spokesperson would cost a lot of money, and if anything went wrong, the company would also have to bear the negative consequences. For someone like him, who always played it safe, this was far from an ideal plan. Fortunately, I had anticipated his reaction, so I gave him a lengthy explanation of why hiring a spokesperson was absolutely necessary. After he was mostly convinced, I hit him with the final blow. "Dad, do you want our company to keep standing still, getting trampled by others, by scum like Justin, for instance?" My dad was stunned by the question and shook his head. "Exactly." I took out my tablet and pulled up the information I had already prepared. "I've found the right person. Let's sign her." Chapter 10. The contract signing was handled by the marketing department. When they figured out who I wanted to sign, they all looked sick, because this actress was seriously obscure. Calling her a D-list celebrity would be a compliment. The marketing manager paced outside my office 8 times that afternoon, and finally, on his last try, he mustered up the courage to come in. "Boss, maybe you should reconsider? With her current popularity, spending money on an endorsement is no different from throwing it away." I smiled and shook my head. "I've made my decision. I want her." The manager lowered his head, sighed, and walked out. Everyone thought I was crazy, but only I knew that. In 2 months, this girl named Elena would explode in popularity. To say she would redefine beauty standards in the entertainment industry wouldn't be an exaggeration. Signing her now meant the cost was low, and we could also gain her gratitude for believing in her. It was the perfect deal. Soon, Elena came to the company to shoot the advertisement. I made sure, in her presence, to have the giant poster hung across the entire wall outside the company. She had never received such treatment, and tears welled up in her eyes. I took the opportunity to hug her, gently patting her back. "Why are you crying? I have high hopes for you. Believe me, one day posters like this will be everywhere." Elena hugged me back, and tears instantly soaked my shoulder. Since she had no fame to speak of at the moment, for the next several days, even though the giant poster hung outside the company where countless passers-by could see it, as I expected, it caused no ripples at all. However, what surprised me was that Justin and Lily somehow saw the poster and came looking for me. In a frenzy, Justin said this girl was Lily's rival. "You actually signed her? Can't you stop using these petty tactics just to spite me?" "Sure, it makes me notice you. But so what? Each time I just end up more annoyed by you." Chapter 11. I knew that before joining Justin's family, Lily had tried to make it in the entertainment industry, but she failed miserably, like a fried egg stuck to a pan, and now she claims to have a rival? During my moment of silence, Justin continued his sarcastic tirade. That's when I learned that Elena and Lily had actually auditioned for the lead role in the same web drama. What a twisted fate. But no matter how you looked at it, calling her a rival was a bit much. Clearly, Lily was just less talented and lost the role. Yet she still sees Elena as some sort of enemy. She and Justin were exactly the same, thinking they were the center of the universe. Just as I was getting a headache, I heard Lily whining. "Sister, do you really hate me that much? Do you have to make my life difficult? Life is already dull enough without a fool thinking they can lecture others." If it weren't for the timing not being right, I'd have had the whole company do a word chain of insults to bury her. During this time, since I was working so intensely, my dad decided to retire early. He spent his days out late and home early, drinking tea and walking his birds, living his best life. Since dropping his stern father persona, he'd even added a new daily ritual. Every time I came home, he'd rush to help me take off my coat, his grin as bright as a toothpaste commercial. "Oh wow. Isn't this Miss Miriam? Please, come in. You've worked so hard." Teasing me had basically become part of his daily routine. However, one day, when I opened the door and reached out my arms as usual, he slapped my hands away. "Look at this shameless idiot." My dad shoved his phone into my face. Fuming, I wish I could turn into an octopus, so I'd have 8 hands to slap him with. I took a step back before I could finally focus. On the screen were Lily's elaborate photo shoots, each with a 3-line poem in the bottom left corner. "What's this? That bastard copied you by hiring her as a spokesperson and wrote all these disgusting ad lines." I almost threw up my dinner last night. I raised my eyebrows in surprise, seeing that I wasn't angry at all. My dad hesitated for a moment. "You wouldn't be." I knew what he wanted to say and immediately raised my hand to stop him. "Hold it. Hold it. Any further would be impolite." As far as I knew, in the original storyline, Justin never made Lily a spokesperson. It seemed that, because of my presence, the story had completely derailed from its original path and was now barreling towards the unknown. Chapter 12. I have to admit, in this world, Justin and Lily still carry some kind of protagonist aura. Whatever they set their minds to do, they always seem to have a higher chance of success compared to others. This time, they hired marketing accounts to edit the footage of their engagement, cutting out the beginning and the end, leaving only the most romantic parts, and paired it with the 3-line poems Lily had been sharing to create a marketing story of a real-life Cinderella and her prince. This kind of advertising quickly went viral. Everyone envied Lily for finding such a loving and wealthy partner. Overnight, Justin became the #1 person everyone wanted to marry, and his family's company's revenue surged. During this triumphant moment, Justin, of course, didn't forget to show off to me. He returned that Krabby Patty recipe I'd sent him, sneering, "Did you think that without this project, I wouldn't be able to survive? Miriam, your life is a joke. Not only are you abandoned by the system, but you're also discarded by me." Lily also pretended to persuade me. "Sister, I told you a long time ago that Elena wasn't going to work out. But you didn't believe me. See? Didn't your endorsement fee go to waste? You should have hired me back then. Maybe I'd have considered it out of respect for Justin." "Baby, don't waste your breath on her. She's always been so conceited. Probably still thinks she's the smartest person in the world." Justin laughed. It sounded like he kissed Lily. Immediately after, there was a series of indescribable sounds. This is absurdity taken to the extreme. How high is the threshold for normal behavior? And why can't these two manage to cross it? Even with this kind of thing, they had to call me to let me hear. Am I supposed to be part of their play? Chapter 13. Over the next month, Justin and Lily not only shot a magazine cover together but also recorded a reality show. In the live broadcast, the host asked Justin if he had ever been in a relationship. He smiled, shook his head, and pulled Lily closer. She came late, so I had no choice but to wait for her. The internet was obsessed, and the fairy tale couple's popularity continued to soar. During this period, a blogger did post to expose Justin. Screw him, claiming he's never been in a relationship. I was in the same circle as him and his ex. His ex was practically his doormat, and he has the audacity to portray himself as some pure lover? Gross. The blogger even posted a few photos of me with Justin, thoughtfully blurring my face. Justin had spent a lot of money buying trending topics recently, so when the blogger tagged him, it brought a lot of attention and quickly shot up the trending list. Although Lily never made it as a big star, she had clearly learned how to handle PR quickly. She immediately posted a lawyer's letter, saying that the blogger was completely slandering them. The woman in the photo was Justin's secretary, later dismissed for stealing company secrets. Let's hope the rumors stop with those who are wise. She then bought a bunch of fake accounts to back up the story. After this storm blew over, she and Justin used it to gain even more attention. My dad was so furious that he switched his leisure activity from birdwatching to drinking tea, and then to meditation. But I still wasn't in a hurry. When he came back from meditating, He poked me right on the forehead. You're really okay with this? Are you still my daughter? What's there to not be okay with? I smiled lightly. I was hoping for the buzz to grow even more. I'd already heard that Justin, enjoying the success, was planning to invest the profits from the past few quarters into a new product. And that new product was almost identical to the one I was about to launch. As long as he puts his money in, I'm more than capable of making sure he loses every cent. Chapter 14. As I expected. With Lily whispering sweet nothings into his ear and Justin's own arrogance, his new project quickly entered the preparation phase. And that TV series I'd been waiting for so long finally premiered. That day, I turned on the TV early, even calling my dad over. Stop meditating. Come watch TV. My dad's face was all scrunched up like a dried flower. Everything's burning down around us. And you're here having a moment of relaxation. I shook my finger. This isn't relaxation. This is my hunting moment. In just 1 week, Elena gained 1 million followers. The fresh storyline and her excellent acting allowed her to stand out among the other young actresses, skyrocketing her popularity. By the second week, with me putting in more funds, 2 other web dramas starring her were released one after another. Her acting was practically flawless, and her appearance was refined to near perfection. Everyone said she was a born star, and for a while, the trending topics were almost all about Elena. With my boost, she became even more famous than in the original storyline. Fans started to dig into her past, and both the company and I became the biggest winners. Everyone was stunned. My dad stopped meditating and started scrolling on his phone, chatting with the young people in the company. Daughter, you have such a good eye. The marketing manager also marveled. A star becoming this popular is so rare. Miss Miriam, you should switch careers to be a talent scout. Don't call her Miss Miriam. From now on she's your only boss, my dad said. Then he turned to me. Daughter, why don't you sign a few more like her? This is too profitable. I shook my head. We won't find another like her. Elena was unique in this world. In the original storyline, her perfection was created just to highlight the male leads, Justin's charm. Justin would accidentally sign her. Elena would fall in love with him because of that. But now, I've cut the threads of fate, and I've let a butterfly fly free. Chapter 15. These past 2 weeks, no one was more stressed out than Justin. The entire internet's attention was on Elena, and no matter how desperately he and Lily interacted, no one seemed to care. As a result, his plan to leverage the couple's popularity to boost his company's product was completely ruined. On the other hand, since I had signed Elena early on, I was seen by everyone as the one who helped her rise from obscurity, a talent scout with an eye for gold. And since Elena only had one known endorsement, her fans enthusiastically bought it in bulk. At this perfect moment, I took the opportunity to launch our new product. With no return on his investments, Justin's cash flow became strained. In a short time, even the other projects in Justin's family business were forced to come to a halt. The empire was crumbling, and in this critical moment, he thought of me again, sending me countless messages every day. Miriam, enough is enough. If you wanted my attention, you've got it. Why are you competing with me? Do you like me that much? Haven't I told you many times that I like soft, easy to control women? The way you are now, you're not even worth a toe of Lily's. When will you learn to be more like her? But no matter what he said, I just didn't respond. A few days passed like this. I was sitting in my office looking at revenue reports when suddenly there was a commotion outside. Immediately after, the office door was violently kicked open. Justin, held back by several people, glared at me with bloodshot eyes. Miriam, how dare you have someone stop me? I gestured for the security guards to leave. Only the 2 of us remained in the office. Justin stormed up to me, slamming his fist on my desk. You can't have me. So now you want to destroy me? How can you be so twisted, so obsessed out of love, even at this point? How was he still this confident? Seems like I really played my role too well back then. Justin, I sighed deeply and called out to him. Have you ever considered another possibility? What if I never loved you at all? Justin visibly froze for a moment, then quickly retorted. Stop lying. You were abandoned by the system because of me. How could you not love me? I let out a light laugh. Everything was already in my grasp, and I had no intention of pretending any longer. You didn't really think I stayed in this world for you, did you? Chapter 16. For a moment, his expression finally showed a trace of panic. What do you mean? Is it possible that, from the very beginning, I knew about your so-called secret? I stepped closer and closer to Justin, and the once arrogant man now backed away in fear, sweat forming on his forehead. My voice was so gentle it could almost drip honey. What are you afraid of? Don't you like gentle women the most? Justin swallowed. His legs went weak, and he collapsed to the floor like a puddle of mud. Taking this opportunity, I grabbed the water cup from the desk and, just like he once did, I splashed it on his face without mercy. Have you looked in the mirror? What could I possibly see in you? Let me tell you the truth. I figured out a long time ago that you could hear the conversations between me and the system. All those corny love lines were deliberately meant for you. Justin's face turned pale as a ghost. Looking at him, reduced to such a pathetic state, made me realize how utterly unworthy the so-called protagonist filter was. While he was still trembling, I pressed the bell and called for security. Take him out, oh, and make sure he pays for the door at the front desk first. The two burly security guards nodded and came over, one on each side, to drag Justin away. It was as if he finally woke up from a long dream. He lunged toward me, eyes red, only to be firmly restrained by the guards gripping his elbows. He looked just like a drenched, pitiful dog. Miriam, you're saying all of this just to get under my skin, aren't you? Is it because I hurt you recently, and you're trying to get back at me this way? Give someone too much face, and even a dog thinks it's a lion. Mimicking Justin's previous behavior, I laughed loudly. Next time you ask a question like that, think about it first. Do you deserve it? Chapter 17. After getting rid of Justin, I informed the front desk that, under no circumstances, should they ever let him in again. The receptionist readily agreed, but I forgot. Even if he couldn't get in, there was still Lily. The next day, Lily claimed to be my closest friend and rushed into the elevator while the receptionist was calling me to confirm. Unlike Justin, who came demanding answers, she started crying as soon as she arrived. Sister, are you targeting us because you're angry we accused you of stealing company secrets? But we really had no choice at the time. I noticed something in her shirt pocket with a small, flashing red light, and I couldn't help but laugh. Such a crude trick, and she had the audacity to try it on me. But I didn't mind playing along with the fool, so I nodded. Lily looked anxious and asked again. Really? I nodded again. Say something. If it's true, say something. I couldn't hold back my laughter. She and Justin were truly two of a kind. Lily, I called her slowly. Did you think that recording some ambiguous evidence and then editing it haphazardly would give you any leverage over me? My words hit her sore spot, and her expression froze, her tears on the verge of falling. After a long pause, she continued sobbing. Sister, why do you have to destroy Justin? He was a man you once loved. I shook my head with a scoff. Sorry, but I never loved him. Besides, why do they always resort to this? It wasn't that I wanted to ruin him, it was just that he wasn't good enough. Why did they always need a scapegoat? Lily, however, ignored me. Stop pretending. Sister, as a woman, I can understand your denial. It's true, women sometimes need to be a little coy to make men want them even more. But you've taken it too far. You have no idea what kind of life Justin is living now. I know. I asked Lily if she meant how Justin had sold half of his shares to stay afloat, or if she meant how the other major shareholders in Justin's family were now waiting to bring him down, or perhaps she meant that if things continued this way, he would end up with nothing. Lily was dumbfounded. Why you know all this? And yet why am I just standing by? I chuckled softly. Because, as I said, I never loved him. Chapter 18. When Lily left, her expression was even more complicated than Justin's, but I had no time to care about them. The company was flourishing, and all the projects we had prepared earlier were now generating revenue. I didn't know if Justin regretted it now, but the other shareholders in Justin's family certainly did. They all sent me messages, hoping to reconcile. Some time passed like this, and Justin seemed to be on the verge of collapse. He began sending me frequent voice messages again, only this time, his tone had completely changed. "Sister, do you have time to have a meal with me? I haven't seen you in so long, and I want to talk. I don't think we really needed to come to this point." Last night, I dreamed again of those 3 years we were together. Those unforgettable 3 years. How could there be no feelings at all between us? "Sister, please come back with your project team, all right?" I sent him the video that the journalist had sent me long ago. I remembered that arrogant expression of his all too well. He was silent for a long time, seemingly feeling awkward, but still tried to explain. No matter what he said, I never responded. But unfortunately, since we were in the same circle, even if I didn't want to see him, it was inevitable that we'd meet at certain banquets. I could feel him watching me the whole time, but I didn't spare him a glance, until he, looking like a neglected puppy, pulled me aside with a face full of grievance. "Sister, can we talk?" I was going to say no, but just as I looked up, I saw Lily approaching, her face full of weariness. So, the words that rushed to the tip of my tongue shifted and became, "Talk about what? A relationship?" Justin's face lit up with joy. "I knew it. I knew that you still had feelings for me. I knew it. I knew it. Even if you stayed here on purpose. The care you gave me during those 3 years was real. I refused to believe it was all fake." Seeing Lily getting closer, I deliberately said, "So, what do you want? Please help me again. Sister, only you know how much blood and sweat I've sacrificed to get to where I am today. Don't let me fail now, all right?" Justin, almost deferentially, handed me a cup of water. "There's honey in here. It's the brand you love." I raised my fingertip, slowly touching the cup. At almost the same moment, Lily's heartbroken voice rang out clearly. "Justin, what are you doing?" Justin's hand shook, and he turned to see Lily, tears welling in her eyes. She clutched her chest as if she couldn't stand any longer. Falling backward, Justin instinctively put down the cup and pulled her into his arms. Lily cried out as if she had just narrowly escaped death, her voice full of grievance. But as she looked at me, I clearly saw a flash of resentment in her eyes. Chapter 19. I watched with interest as the two of them bickered in front of me. Justin wanted Lily to go back to the car to rest, but Lily insisted on staying to keep him company. They patiently tried to persuade each other until Justin finally said, "Are you not listening to me anymore?" Only then did Lily reluctantly nod. "All right, I'll go wait in the car." However, almost the moment she stepped out, Justin breathed an eager sigh of relief. He walked toward me quickly, straightening his clothes under my amused gaze, and spoke with a hint of guilt in his voice. "I'm sorry, sister. Lily, she's not feeling well. So No problem." Justin's attempts to explain were cut off by my response. He cautiously sat down next to me, and when he saw that I didn't resist, he showed a delighted smile. I imagined he was now inwardly marveling at his own charm. "Sister, I've always had feelings for you." Justin's voice was intimate and lingering. I could feel his fingers moving closer, so I deliberately stayed still, playing along. Just as our fingertips were about to touch, Lily came back once again. Everything went just as I expected. She stared at the scene before her, her eyes red and tears streaming down her face. She was trembling like she had just been pulled out of the water, fragile and helpless. Once again, Justin instinctively rushed over to embrace her. After all this back and forth, I was getting tired of acting. Right in front of them, I stretched lazily, waved my hand, and said goodbye. Looks like someone's in for a rough night when they get home. Chapter 20. My dad had pretty much witnessed the entire show. When we finally got to a place without people, he started poking my head again. "Aren't you making a mess of things? Aren't you worried about what people might say about you? Look at how many people came up to talk to me tonight. Do you really think, with my current status, anyone would dare say anything about me?" My dad paused for a moment. He wanted to lecture me but knew that I was right. Eventually, all he managed to say was, "Stubborn girl." That night, before bed, I received another voice message from Justin. He lowered his voice, using that bubbly tone I used to praise countless times, and said, One person's endless longing can't bring back two people's reunion. One heart's yearning can't piece back together two broken hearts. The act had gone on long enough, and I was no longer interested in playing along. I simply asked, "Is this what Lily said to you too?" He stayed silent for a long time, and finally said, "My feelings for Lily are different from my feelings for you. You don't understand." I immediately took a screenshot and sent it to Lily. That night, I guessed they didn't sleep together, because Justin kept sending me all sorts of sappy quotes without a break. I wasn't idle either, I sent all of them to Lily. It wasn't until I was too tired to keep my eyes open that I stopped being a messenger. But when it came to certain things, it seemed that Lily and I had very different ways of thinking. Even though Justin was the one harassing me, she felt that I was the one seducing him. So, when I woke up again the next day, I found out that my name was trending. I actually found out about this from Elena. She sent me a screenshot early in the morning. "Sister, look, our names are together." But barely 5 minutes later, it seemed she clicked on the topic and understood what was going on. She quickly sent me another message. "Sister, it's negative. Don't look." Chapter 21. Of course, I had to look. It turned out that Lily had taken a radio interview at 3:30 in the morning. She was certainly determined. In the interview, she told the host that I was the secretary who had stolen confidential documents from Justin's family company. But not only did I steal things, instead of keeping a low profile, I brazenly plagiarized. And the plagiarized product even became a hit. In the recording, Lily's voice sounded pitiful. "There's something else I don't know if I should say." She sends messages to my fiancé every day, talking about all sorts of ambiguous things. "Host, you mean she's trying to interfere in your relationship?" Lily sobbed. "It's so harsh to say that about another girl, but I really don't know what else to do." This interview, given that it involved Elena, soon gained traction thanks to her popularity and reached the top of the trending list. The topic quickly attracted a huge number of onlookers. But what neither Lily nor I expected was that these people weren't there to criticize me. Now, the whole internet was practically made up of Elena's fans, and I was the one who discovered her. Elena had mentioned me in many interviews, praising me as a kind and approachable person. Everyone felt there must be more to the story. Soon enough, someone dug up that during the first time Lily accused me of stealing secrets on the reality show, Elena had already defended me. Back then, though, Elena was not influential and was scolded heavily by many people, but it was this group of people who attacked her that made fans realize something was off. Most of these usernames were a jumble of characters. Their profile pictures were empty, and their pages had no posts, clear signs of hired bots. The whole internet exploded. This Lily bought bots to slander Miriam back then. What kind of person is she? This is hilarious. Didn't even spend enough money. Ended up with a bunch of obviously fake accounts. I really don't understand if Miriam is so good at recognizing talent. Why would she need to steal secrets? Did everyone forget she's the boss? She's a rich young lady, why would she need to be someone else's secretary? Chapter 22. Everything was developing in a direction Lily never expected. Someone dug up the public employment records of Justin's family company, and my name was nowhere to be found. In other words, the story about me being a secretary was complete nonsense. Lily couldn't hold back and responded, "Don't you have a job? Do you think your boss would always announce it if they hired a secretary? Does the boss not have the right to hire someone privately?" But the more she tried to argue her point, the more suspicious it all seemed. Originally, I didn't intend to push her to the edge, but now, in my heart, I had already lit a candle for her. Sure enough, a bunch of netizens soon replied to her. "Maybe for a small company, but not for Justin's family company. I have a relative who's a senior executive in Justin's family company." I asked her, and Miriam was never a secretary, she was Justin's ex-girlfriend. A stone thrown caused 1,000 ripples. The blogger whose account had been suspended before also came back. "I told you all before, but you didn't believe me." Miriam was Justin's first love. Back then, she was so good to him, taking care of him like a mother. Who could have imagined the scumbag would turn around and attack her instead? That's right. I work at Justin's company. A lot of people here know about their relationship. But Justin threatened us not to talk about it and even signed confidentiality agreements with journalists. It's insane. Lily tried the same tactic again, hiring bots, suspending accounts. But this time, Elena directly retweeted the post, saying, "Justice prevails. I will always support Sister Miriam." The narrative spun completely out of control, and as the protagonist, I hadn't even made an appearance. Everything just surged and settled on its own. It felt like I was sitting in the eye of a storm, watching the entire farce unfold. Chapter 23. When Justin saw that the situation was getting out of hand, he rushed over to find me again, but I had already instructed the front desk and security guards that, no matter what, they were not to let him in. So even though he showed up looking disheveled, he couldn't get in at all. All he could do was send me voice messages from barely 100 meters away, his tone full of desperation. "Sister, please save me. They've tricked me out of all my shares. I have nothing left now. I didn't know Lily would do something so stupid. Please, don't hold it against her, all right? The whole internet is attacking her now. You know she still has dreams of being a star. If this continues, she'll lose her mind. Sister, if you help me this once, I'll break up with her. I'll marry you, okay? Sister, I'm begging you. Please just come out and see me for a moment." By the end, Justin's voice was already choked with sobs, but I still didn't soften. At this point, how could he still foolishly think that marrying him would be some kind of gift to me? I sent Justin one final message. "I never stayed for you, nor did I ever have feelings for you. You said you were just acting with me for those 3 years. Well, guess what? I was acting too." With that, I completely blocked him. Justin seemed to have been hit hard by this. Despite being someone who always valued his pride, he began to make a scene right in the lobby. I heard him shouting, "Bring her out! She's not really Miriam. She's an outsider brought here by the system. Get her out here to confront me." No one paid him any attention. Justin kept yelling, "You don't believe me, do you? I'll call the police." But when the police heard his story, they simply suggested, gently, that he might need to see a psychologist. Justin was completely crushed. He collapsed to the floor, and the security guards tossed him out like garbage, while he kept mumbling, "She's really not Miriam. She's an outsider abandoned by the system. Why won't anyone believe me?" Chapter 24. I walked to the window and looked at Justin in his miserable state, feeling nothing but contempt. A protagonist who, with just a little effort, could have easily succeeded, instead chose to take shortcuts, relying on me, and seeking the easy way out. This outcome was exactly what he deserved. My dad, hearing the noise, came into the room. He followed my gaze and looked down, then let out a yikes. "He's looking pretty pathetic." "Huh? Do you want to save him? What are you saying?" "I'll always do what my daughter wants." "Then help me find some files. I need to go to a meeting." My dad looked at me in surprise, as if he didn't expect me to recover my mood so quickly. But the days ahead are still long. Who would stop walking just because they tripped over a stone? Only minor characters get caught up in emotions. A true leading lady loves herself above all else.